On Sunday, November 10th, 2024, my daughter-in-law stood in the doorway of the house I'd helped buy and said, "Lisa, this is a private dinner. Family only. I'm Lisa Gomez. I'm 68 years old." I stood there holding a pot of jollof rice I'd been cooking since 5 a.m., looked at my son, my only child, and he wouldn't even meet my eyes. I said, "Okay." Then I quietly set the pot down on their front step, walked to my car, and drove away. What they didn't know was that over the past 5 years, I had given them $267,000. What I didn't know was that in my purse, there was an envelope from my doctor that would change everything. My name is Lisa Gomez. I'm a retired nurse, a widow, and an immigrant who came to this country with nothing but a baby in my arms and a dream in my heart. This is the story of how I learned that sometimes the people you sacrifice everything for are the ones who'll leave you standing in the cold. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end. August 15th, 1985. I was 29 years old, standing in Lagos Airport holding my 18-month-old son, David. My husband, James, had gone to Houston 6 months earlier. Now it was our turn. I carried 2 suitcases. One had our clothes. The other had everything I owned. My nursing diploma from the University of Lagos, family photos, and $300, my entire life savings. James met us at Houston Airport wearing a borrowed suit. "Welcome home, mi amor," he said. Home was a 1-bedroom apartment on Airline Drive. 600 square feet, $450 rent. James made $7 an hour doing construction. I started studying for my Texas nursing license the next day. In 1987, I passed my boards. St. Mary's Hospital hired me for night shift, $12 an hour. It felt like winning the lottery. David grew up American, spoke English with no accent, played baseball, loved hamburgers. Sometimes I'd speak Yoruba and he'd answer in English. He wanted to be like the other kids. I understood. The hard part was watching him navigate being different anyway. Brown-skinned with a Mexican last name and a Nigerian mother. Teachers assumed he needed ESL. Kids asked, "What are you?" He came home in 7th grade and asked, "Mom, why can't we just say we're black? It would be easier." I told him, "Easy isn't the same as true, baby. You're Nigerian and Mexican and American in yourself. Don't shrink for anyone's comfort." By 1995, we'd saved enough for a house in Sunnyside. 3 bedrooms, 1,200 square feet. It needed work, but it was ours. James fixed it with his own hands. We were building something that would last. Then, everything changed. April 3rd, 2009. I came home from a 12-hour shift to find James at the kitchen table, hands shaking, holding a paper. "It's cancer," he said. "Pancreatic. Stage 4. James died October 17th, 2009, at 11:43 p.m. I was holding his hand. David was holding his other hand. He was 52. The medical bills came to $43,812 even after insurance. I paid it with James's life insurance and our college savings. Every penny we'd worked for, gone. But David would go to college anyway, I decided. I worked more shifts, sold James's truck, took out loans. David got into University of Houston for accounting. I paid for everything. He graduated in 2014 with honors. Got hired at Grant Thornton. $48,000 a year. I cried at his graduation. This was what we'd worked for. Then in 2016, he met Stephanie Marie Porter. 26, blonde, blue-eyed, marketing coordinator. From Austin, middle-class family, father owned a car dealership. She went to Texas State, had a sorority, took spring break trips to Cancun. She grew up with things David and I had only dreamed about. David brought her to Sunday dinner after 3 months. I cooked Nigerian food, jollof rice, fried plantains, moi moi. I wanted her to see our culture. Stephanie smiled politely, moved food around her plate, said it's very flavorful. Asked if I had plain chicken. I told myself it was just different tastes. But I noticed things. The way she'd correct David's grammar. "Actually, it's pronounced," the way she'd laugh and say, "You're so cute when you try to sound smart." David changed around her, quieter, more careful. When I mentioned it, he said, "Mom, you just don't know her yet. She's amazing. She believes in me." They got engaged December 2018. The wedding was May 18th, 2019 in Sugar Land. I contributed $15,000. I wore traditional Nigerian attire, blue aso oke with gold embroidery. Some of Stephanie's relatives stared. One uncle asked if I was in costume. At the reception, Stephanie's mother Diane came up to me, champagne in hand. She leaned in. "You raised a good boy, Lisa. Really, considering everything." "Considering what?" I asked. "Oh, you know, single mother, immigrant, the struggles. But look at him now. Dating up, doing well. You must be so relieved." I smiled, excused myself to the bathroom, and cried for 10 minutes. They moved to Midtown. Combined income, $90,000 a year. They should have been fine, but Stephanie had student loans, $38,000. Car payment on a BMW, $650 a month. Credit card debt, $12,000. She was used to a certain lifestyle. That's when the asking started. The money table, March 2020. "Mom, could you help with $8,000 for a condo down payment? We'll pay you back with our tax return." Arrow sent $8,000 on March 12th, 2020. Arrow tax return came. No repayment. July 2020. Stephanie lost her job. "Just help with rent? $1,200 a month until she finds work?" Arrow sent $12,000 over 10 months. Arrow. She got a new job, May 2021. No repayment mentioned. November 2020. Help with mortgage, $1,500 a month. Arrow sent $1,500 per month for 49 months, equals $73,500. Arrow. Never stopped, never repaid. May 2021. "We need $25,000 for a house down payment. For our future. For your grandkids, Mom." Sent $25,000 on May 28th, 2021. September 2021. Stephanie's getting her MBA. Could you help with $18,000 for the first year? This will double her salary. Sent $18,000 on September 15th, 2021. February 2022. Stephanie crashed my car. We need $7,500 for a replacement. Sent $7,500 on February 8th, 2022. June 2022. Kitchen renovation, $15,000. The cabinets are falling apart. Sent $15,000 on June 3rd, 2022. December 2022. Investment opportunity in a friend's startup. $10,000 becomes $30,000 in a year. Sent $10,000 on December 19th, 2022. Company folded in 8 months. Money gone. April 2023. Stephanie needs veneers. $6,000 for her career. Sent $6,000 on April 12th, 2023. August 2023. Pool and backyard renovation. For when grandkids come. Sent $22,000 on August 7th, 2023. Total, $267,000. My retirement savings in 2021, $420,000. 38 years of nursing. By November 2024, $153,000 left. Every time David said, "I'll pay you back, Mom, next month, next year, when the raise comes." Next time never came. The changes started subtle. Phone calls, 3 times a week to once a week to rushed and distracted. "Can't talk, Mom. We're busy." Sunday dinners, our tradition, changed. I'd bring Nigerian food. Stephanie would wrinkle her nose. "That smells strong. Maybe just bring wine next time?" Then, "We've got dinner covered. Don't bring anything." She started correcting my English. "Lisa, it's not axe, it's ask. A-S-K. David, what did your mother say? I can't understand her accent." I've spoken English 40 years. She understood fine. She wanted me to feel small. Thanksgiving 2023 at their house. Stephanie's parents were there. Her mother Diane made comments all afternoon. "David, you're doing so well for yourself." "Lisa, you must be so proud. Coming from where you came from, and look at David now." "Stephanie, honey, you're so patient. Cultural differences can be so challenging." After Thanksgiving, invitations stopped. David's birthday, January 2024, not invited. Just friends, Mom. Easter 2024. They went to Stephanie's parents. Didn't tell me until after. 4th of July. I saw on Facebook they had a barbecue. 30 people. I wasn't one of them. My birthday, August 15th, the day I came to America, David sent a text. "Happy B-Day, Mom." That was it. But when they needed money, Oh, they called then. September 2024. Property taxes due. $3,500. Sent $3,500 on September 20th. October 2024. Stephanie's car needs tires. $800. Sent $800 on October 9th. I'd become an ATM machine. Not David's mother, just a source of money. By early November, I had strange symptoms. Fatigue. A lump in my left breast I'd been ignoring. On October 28th, I finally saw my doctor. Dr. Emily Okonkwo, Nigerian like me, did the examination. Her face went still. Lisa, I'm ordering a mammogram and biopsy. Today, right now. Tests on October 30th. Results in 2 weeks. I didn't tell David. He had enough on his plate, I told myself. I'd tell him after I knew for sure. That brings us to Sunday, November 10th, 2024. I woke at 5 a.m., made coffee. Watched sunrise from my balcony at Maplewood Senior Living Complex, Unit 4C. 1 bedroom, 700 square feet, $1,150 a month. I'd downsized after James died. It was small, but mine. By 5:30, I was making jollof rice. The good kind, with smoky flavor from the bottom. David's favorite. I made enough for 10 people. By 10 a.m., I was dressed. Navy blue dress with gold embroidery, lipstick, earrings, white diamonds perfume. James used to buy it for me. I bought flowers, $30, sunflowers and roses. Too much, but I wanted to contribute something beautiful. I drove 43 minutes to their house, 4782 Meadowbrook Lane, Sugar Land, Texas. Sweetwater Ranch gated community. 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 2,800 square feet. I'd helped make it possible. Down payment, monthly payments, renovations. My money was in every room. I arrived at 4:47 p.m. The driveway was full. Through windows, I saw people, heard laughter. The chandelier I'd paid $3,500 for glowed golden. They were having a party. I got out, balanced the rice and flowers, rang the doorbell. David's silhouette approached. The door opened. He wore khakis and a button-up, holding wine. Behind him, Stephanie sat at the dining table with 2 older white couples. The table I'd bought them, $2,000. David's face wasn't happy. It was annoyed, like I was interrupting. "Mom," he said. Not "Hi, Mom," just Mom, a statement of unfortunate fact. "Hi, baby," I said, smiling through the sinking feeling. "I brought jollof rice, your favorite, and flowers." "Mom, what are you doing here?" I stared. "It's Sunday. Our dinner. I always come on Sundays." Stephanie appeared, hand on David's shoulder, possessive, cold blue eyes. "Lisa," she said flatly. "David, didn't you tell her?" "Tell me what?" David looked at the ground. Anywhere but my face. "Mom, these Sunday dinners, they're for family only now. Stephanie's parents are here. We're keeping it intimate. You understand, right?" The words didn't process at first. "David," I said slowly, "I'm your mother. I am your family." Stephanie's voice cut through the air, sharp and cold. "Lisa, we've been meaning to talk about boundaries. You can't just show up unannounced. This is our home, our time, our family dinner. You're not invited tonight. It would be better if you left." I stood there on the doorstep of the house I'd helped buy, holding rice I'd cooked for hours, flowers I'd carefully chosen. David said nothing, did nothing, just stood there and nodded slightly. "I'm sorry, Mom," he whispered. "But yes, please go." I don't remember the drive home. I only remember sitting in my dark apartment at 6:30 p.m., still wearing my dress, staring at the wall. $267,000, 39 years in America, 18 years raising him alone, countless sacrifices. And I wasn't even family. I sat until midnight, didn't turn on lights, didn't cry, too shocked to cry. At some point I noticed my purse, the envelope from Dr. Okonkwo that arrived yesterday, the one I'd been too afraid to open. I opened it at 12:17 a.m., Monday, November 11th, 2024. St. Mary's Hospital Pathology Report. Patient Lisa Comfort Gomez. DOB, August 15th, 1956. Date of service, October 30th, 2024. Diagnosis, invasive ductal carcinoma stage 2, a tumor size, 2.3 centimeters. Recommended treatment, lumpectomy, chemotherapy, radiation, estimated cost, after insurance. $85,000 to $120,000. Prognosis: good with immediate treatment. Delays may result in disease progression. I read it 3 times, then checked my bank account. Checking: $8,247. Savings: $153,000. Retirement: $0. Depleted. The math was simple. The money I'd given David, money from 38 years of nursing, double shifts, skipped meals, was supposed to be for my future, for emergencies, for my old age, for exactly this. I had cancer. Treatment would cost nearly $100,000. And I didn't have it because I'd given it all to my son, who'd just told me I wasn't family. I sat in the dark until sunrise, holding that report, and felt something crack open inside my chest. Not my heart breaking. That had already broken. This was clarity. This was rage. This was the moment I decided that Lisa Comfort Gomez, 68-year-old widow, retired nurse, Nigerian immigrant, nice lady who never made waves, was done being nice. Tuesday, November 12th, 2024, 7:23 a.m. I sat at my small kitchen table, the cancer diagnosis still in my hands, and did something I hadn't done since James died. I called my best friend. Dorothy Williams answered on the second ring. "Girl, it's 7 in the morning. You know I don't get up before—" "Lisa? What's wrong?" Dorothy and I met in 1989 at St. Mary's Hospital. Both of us night shift nurses, both of us immigrants. She came from Jamaica in 1982. We'd worked side by side for 28 years, raised our kids in parallel, cried together when James died. She retired the same year I did. She was the sister I never had. I told her everything. The Sunday dinner, the dismissal, the $267,000, the cancer. The silence on the other end lasted so long I thought the call had dropped. "Dorothy? Girl," her voice was shaking. "Girl, you need to get that money back. That's your life." "But he's my son, and you're dying. What kind of son takes his mama's cancer treatment money?" "He doesn't know I'm sick." "Then tell him." I stared at the diagnosis on my table. Stage 2A, good prognosis with treatment. Treatment I couldn't afford because I'd given the money to David. "No," I said slowly. "If I tell him, he might give it back out of guilt. Not love, not because it's right. I need to know who my son really is, Dorothy. I need to know if there's anything left of the boy I raised." Another long silence. "Then you know what you have to do," Dorothy finally said. "Get a lawyer. Document everything. Fight for your life, Lisa, because nobody else is going to fight for you." She was right. By 9 a.m., I had my laptop open and Excel running. I might be 68 years old, but 38 years of nursing had taught me to keep meticulous records. I went through every bank statement from the past 5 years, every transfer, every check, every dollar. I created a spreadsheet. Date, amount, purpose. David's promise repaid. March 12th, $28,000. Condo down payment. Payback with tax return. No, July 15th, 2020 to May 20th, 2021, $12,000. Stephanie unemployment, just until new job. No, November 1st, 2020 to November 1st, 2024, $73,500. Monthly mortgage help, temporary, no, May 28th, 2021, $25,000. House down payment. Investment in our future. No, September 15th, 2021, $18,000. Stephanie's MBA, she'll double her salary. No, February 8th, 2022, $7,500. Car replacement, no promise made. No, June 3rd, 2022, $15,000. Kitchen renovation. You'll love cooking here. No, December 19th, 2022, $10,000. Startup investment. Triple the money. Lost. April 12th, 2023, $6,000. Stephanie's veneers. For her career. No, August 7th, 2023, $22,000. Pool/backyard. For grandkids. No, September 20th, 2024, $3,500. Property taxes. Just this once. No, October 9th, 2024, $800. Car tires. No promise made. No, total, $267,000. $0 I printed it out. Stared at it. $267,000. In black and white. Undeniable. Then I did something I should have done months ago. I logged into my bank account and canceled every automatic transfer to David's account. The $1,500 monthly mortgage payment. Done. Canceled. Over. Each click felt like shedding a weight I'd been carrying too long. By noon, I'd called Dorothy back. "I need a lawyer, the best you know." "Sarah Mitchell," Dorothy said immediately. "She handled my nephew's case when his ex tried to take everything. She's tough, she's fair, and she's black. She'll understand what you're up against. I'll text you her number." Thursday, November 14th, 2024, 2 p.m. Sarah Mitchell's office was in a modest building on Westheimer, 3rd floor. Not the fancy glass towers downtown where corporate lawyers worked. This was a working lawyer's office. Files stacked on every surface, coffee cups on the desk, framed law degree from Texas Southern University on the wall. Sarah herself was 45, dark-skinned, natural hair and locks, wearing a navy pantsuit. She had the kind of eyes that had seen too much but hadn't stopped caring. "Mrs. Gomez," she said, shaking my hand firmly. "Dorothy told me a little. Let's see what we're dealing with." I handed her my spreadsheet, my bank statements, my folder of text messages and voicemails. She spent 20 minutes reading in silence. Finally, she looked up. "This is elder financial exploitation. Textbook case. But I gave willingly, under emotional manipulation. Look at this," she pointed to a text from David. "He promises repayment here, and here, and here. These are loans, Mrs. Gomez, not gifts. Legally, that matters. Can I win?" Sarah leaned back, honest eyes meeting mine. "I'm going to be straight with you. 60-40 odds in your favor. You have strong evidence, but you're a black woman suing your own son. Juries can be complicated about that. They might see you as bitter, controlling, using money to manipulate. We have to be prepared for that narrative. What if I lose? Court fees, filing costs, my fees. You're looking at maybe $15,000 to $20,000 out of pocket." I touched my left breast where the tumor was. "I don't have much choice." Sarah's expression softened. "Dorothy mentioned you were sick. Do you mind if I ask?" "Breast cancer, stage 2. Treatment costs $85,000 to $120,000. I have $153,000 in savings. If I lose this case, I might not be able to afford both treatment and legal fees." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled out a retainer agreement. "My standard fee is $250 an hour. For you, I'll do $200. And if we win, I'll petition the court to make them pay my fees. You shouldn't have to choose between justice and your health, Mrs. Gomez." I signed the agreement with shaking hands. "One more thing," Sarah said. "Are you going to tell your son about the cancer?" "No, not yet. I need to know if he'll do the right thing without that hanging over his head." Sarah nodded slowly. "I understand. But Mrs. Gomez, prepare yourself. This is going to get ugly. They're going to fight back. They're going to say terrible things. Can you handle that?" I thought about standing on that doorstep, holding jollof rice, being told I wasn't family. "I can handle anything," I said. Monday, November 18th, 2024. Sarah filed the demand letter via certified mail. Signature required. It was 7 pages long, itemizing every dollar, citing legal precedent for oral loan agreements, and demanding full repayment within 30 days or we'd file a civil suit. I imagined Stephanie's face when she opened it. Good. Tuesday, November 19th. The phone calls started. 9:47 a.m. David calling. I let it go to voicemail. "Mom, what the hell? We just got some crazy letter from a lawyer? This is insane. Call me back. Now." 11:23 a.m. David calling voicemail. "Mom, seriously, we need to talk about this. You can't just sue us. We're family." 2:15 p.m. David calling voicemail. "Mom, please. Stephanie is freaking out. This is going to ruin us. Just call me so we can work this out." 4:58 p.m. Unknown number I answered without thinking. "Margaret, this is Stephanie." Her voice was ice. "I don't know what you think you're doing, but this letter is completely inappropriate. We're family. We don't handle disagreements with lawyers." "It's Lisa. And you told me I wasn't family, remember?" "Don't twist my words. You know what I meant. We were having an intimate dinner. Did you or did you not tell me to leave because it was family only?" Silence. "Stephanie, you and David owe me $267,000. I have documentation. I have voicemails where David calls them loans. I have text messages promising repayment. You're going to pay it back. We don't have that kind of money. Do you know what our mortgage is? What my student loans are? We can't just— Then you shouldn't have taken mine. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from power. For the first time in 5 years, I wasn't backing down. By Wednesday, the smear campaign had started. Stephanie posted on Facebook, "Dealing with family legal issues. Some people weaponize love. When you give everything to family and they turn around and attack you for it, heartbroken." The comments rolled in. "You deserve better." Toxic parents are real. Family doesn't sue family. Praying for you guys. Then my phone started ringing. Not David. Other people. David's cousin Angela. "Aunt Lisa, is it true you're suing David?" "Girl, that's not how we do things in this family." Someone from church. "Sister Lisa, I heard about your situation. Perhaps you should consider Christian forgiveness." An old colleague from the hospital. "Lisa, honey, I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. David's such a good boy." By Friday, I'd stopped answering the phone entirely, except for numbers I recognized, but I wasn't alone. Thursday evening, Dorothy showed up at my apartment with a box. "Care package," she announced, pushing past me. "Wine, ice cream, tissues, and righteous anger. Also, I called my support group. You're coming to the meeting Saturday." "Dorothy, I don't need—" "Yes, you do. Trust me." Saturday, November 23rd, 2024, St. Mark's Community Church, Fellowship Hall. The sign on the door said Family Financial Abuse Support Group. 8 people sat in a circle. Dorothy led me to a seat. Father Patrick O'Brien, a white man in his 60s with kind eyes, welcomed me. "We're glad you're here, Lisa. This is a safe space. Everything shared here stays here." One by one, they introduced themselves. Tom Rodriguez, 67, Mexican-American. "My son stole my identity, opened credit cards in my name, ruined my credit. I found out when debt collectors started calling. He took $43,000 before I caught him." Patricia Johnson, 71, black woman. "My daughter convinced me to put her name on my house deed. Just in case something happens to you, Mama. Then she sold it out from under me, put me in a nursing home, took $400,000. I'm fighting to get it back." Robert Green, 69, white man. "My 3 kids emptied my bank accounts while I was recovering from a stroke. $230,000. Gone. They said it was advance inheritance." Maria Santos, 64, Filipina. "My daughter-in-law convinced my son I was getting dementia. They got power of attorney, sold my jewelry, my car, cashed out my retirement. $180,000. Each story was worse than the last. And yet, everyone was surviving, fighting back, reclaiming their lives. When it was my turn, I told my story. The Sunday dinner, the $267,000, the cancer diagnosis. Patricia reached over and took my hand. "The hardest part is accepting that the person you loved isn't who you thought they were. My daughter isn't the little girl I raised. That person is gone. I had to grieve her like a death." "What helped you move forward?" I asked. "Accepting that I deserved better, that my worth wasn't tied to her love or approval, and finding people who actually cared about me, not what I could give them." Tom spoke up. "After the group, a few of us go to Pete's Diner. You should come. We play cards, tell stories, laugh. It helps." For the first time in weeks, I felt something that wasn't rage or grief. I felt hope. The next 2 weeks, I started saying yes. Yes to card games at Pete's Diner with Tom, Patricia, and Robert. Yes to Dorothy's Book Club, 8 black women over 60 who read everything from Maya Angelou to mystery novels. Yes to volunteering at the Houston Food Bank on Tuesday mornings. Yes to watercolor painting classes at the community center on Thursday afternoons. My calendar, which had been empty except for Sunday dinner at David's, suddenly filled with purpose. And on November 25th, I started chemotherapy. I told no one except Dorothy and Dr. Okonkwo. I wore headscarves and hats. I was tired, nauseated, losing my hair. But I was fighting for my life, fighting for my dignity, fighting to prove that Lisa Comfort Gomez was worth more than being an ATM machine. December 2nd, 2024, Sarah called. They hired a lawyer. James Bradford works out of a mid-size firm in the Galleria area. Not top tier, but competent. They filed their response. And They're claiming everything was a gift, no expectation of repayment. They're going to argue that you gave the money freely, happily, to help your son, that you're only suing now because you're bitter about the marriage. That's not true. I know, but we need to be ready for their narrative. They're going to paint you as a controlling immigrant mother who used money to manipulate David, who couldn't accept his wife, who's now weaponizing a family disagreement. My stomach turned. Can they prove that? They'll try. But Lisa, I need you to send me everything. Every text, every email, every conversation you remember where David promised repayment. We need ammunition. I spent that afternoon going through old boxes in my closet, and that's when I found it. A cardboard box labeled David High School. Inside, report cards, baseball trophies, certificates, and at the bottom, a notebook. His journal from 2006 to 2008. I almost didn't open it. It felt like an invasion of privacy. But then I remembered him standing in that doorway, not defending me, and I opened it. March 15th, 2006. David, age 14. Mom worked another double shift. She's always tired, always stressed. I heard her crying in the bathroom about bills. It's my fault. If I wasn't here, she could have a life. Sometimes I wish I was white like the other kids. Then maybe Dad wouldn't have died. Cancer runs in his family. Maybe Mom wouldn't have to work so hard. I hate being different. Brown but not black enough. Mexican last name but don't speak Spanish. African mother but I'm not African. I'm nothing. I'm everything. I'm exhausted. May 3rd, 2008. David, age 16. Mom said, "You're all I have today." I hate when she says that. It's too much pressure. I can't be her whole world. I can't be responsible for her happiness. I want my life. Jessica broke up with me because her parents didn't like that I was ethnic. Mom said, "You're better off without people like that." But I'm tired of being better than racism. I just want to be normal. Sometimes I feel like Mom's love is suffocating me. Like every sacrifice she makes is another weight on my shoulders. She gave up everything for me. How can I ever be enough to repay that? November 10th, 2008. David, age 17. I got into UH. Mom cried. She's so proud. She keeps saying, "This is what your daddy and I worked for." But what about what I want? What if I don't want to be an accountant? What if I want to travel or write or do something crazy? I can't. Because Mom sacrificed too much. Because I owe her. Because I'll never, ever be free of that debt. Is this what love is supposed to feel like? Like drowning? I closed the journal and sat on my bedroom floor, tears streaming down my face. My son had been struggling for years, feeling the weight of my sacrifice, feeling guilty for existing, wanting to be someone else, somewhere else, anyone but the child of an immigrant mother who gave up everything. And Stephanie must have seen that wound and exploited it, offered him escape, freedom, a life where he didn't owe anyone anything. But understanding something doesn't excuse it. He still took my money. He still stood in that doorway and told me I wasn't family. He still chose her over me. Cruelty over compassion. Comfort over conscience. I called Sarah. I found something. David's old journal. It explained some things. About why he wanted distance. About feeling burdened by my sacrifices. Do you want to use it in court? It could help show the psychological manipulation from Stephanie. She exploited existing guilt. I thought about it. About David reading his teenage words in front of a courtroom. About him knowing I'd read his private thoughts. "No," I said. "Keep it as backup, but I won't use it unless we have to. He was a child when he wrote that. He's an adult now. He's responsible for his adult choices. You're a good mother, Lisa." A good mother wouldn't be in this position. A good mother would do exactly what you're doing, fighting for her life. December 10th, Sarah called with bad news. Remember that first payment in March 2020? The $8,000 for the condo? Yes. I pulled the check image from your bank. You wrote "Love you, proud of you" in the memo line. My stomach dropped. So? Their lawyer is arguing that shows gift intent. And you never asked for repayment for 4 years after that. There's a legal concept called statute of limitations and another called implied gift. If we're not careful, they could argue you're only entitled to recover the last 3 years of payments, about $180,000, not $267. But David promised, "I know, And we have voicemails and texts proving that. But it's not as clean as we'd like. We're going to fight for every penny, but I need you to be prepared. This might not be an easy win. I looked at my bank statement on my laptop, checking $6,891, down from medical copays. Savings, $141,000, down from Sarah's retainer fee of $5,000 and first invoice of $7,000. My money was bleeding out while David lived in the house I'd helped buy. By mid-December, the toll was showing. My hair was almost gone from chemo. I wore a headscarf everywhere. Beautiful African prints that Dorothy bought me. But I felt exposed, vulnerable. I'd lost 15 pounds. Food tasted like metal. I was tired all the time. Some people at church stopped inviting me to events. Divided loyalties. David's godmother, Mrs. Chen, stopped speaking to me at services. David's cousin Angela posted on Facebook, "Blood is thicker than water, but apparently not thicker than money. So disappointed in family right now." I wanted to comment. The full quote is, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Chosen family matters more than birth family." But I didn't. I stayed silent. Saved my energy for the fight that mattered. January 8th, 2025. 10 a.m., Harris County Family Court. Mediation Room 4B. The room was sterile. Gray walls, fluorescent lights, one long table with chairs on each side. A mediation before trial, court-ordered, to see if we could settle without a jury. I sat next to Sarah, wearing my best dress, burgundy with gold buttons, and a matching headscarf. My armor, my dignity. Across the table, David and Stephanie, with their lawyer James Bradford. Bradford wore an expensive suit and had slicked-back gray hair. He looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. At the head of the table, Judge Patricia Hawkins. Black woman, mid-50s, natural hair and a short cut, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She was a mediator today, not a judge, but her presence commanded the room. "Let's begin," Judge Hawkins said. "This is mediation. We're here to see if both parties can reach an agreement without going to trial. Mr. Bradford, you may begin?" Bradford opened his folder. "Your Honor, this is a straightforward case of family gift-giving being recharacterized as debt after a personal disagreement. Mrs. Gomez generously helped her son and daughter-in-law over the years. Now, because of hurt feelings over a dinner invitation, she's claiming it was all loans. The evidence doesn't support that." Sarah leaned forward. "We have documentation of multiple instances where the funds were explicitly characterized as loans by the defendants themselves." "Allegedly," Bradford countered. Sarah slid a folder across the table. Text messages, voicemails, email correspondence, all referring to loans, paying back, temporary help. "Would you like me to read them aloud?" I watched Stephanie's face. Her jaw tightened. Her hand gripped David's arm under the table. Bradford opened the folder, scanned the contents. His expression didn't change, but he paused longer than he meant to. "These are taken out of context. Would you like me to play the voicemail where your client explicitly says, quote, 'Thanks for the loan, Mom. I'll get it back to you next month'?" Sarah's voice was steel. David's face went pale. Judge Hawkins looked at Bradford. "Counselor, do you have evidence these were gifts?" "The nature of the family relationship. I'm asking for documentation, not supposition." Bradford had nothing. "Let's discuss settlement," Judge Hawkins said. "Mr. Bradford, what is your client prepared to offer?" Bradford glanced at David and Stephanie. Whispered conference. $25,000. Paid over 5 years. I laughed. Actually laughed. I couldn't help it. "That's insulting," I said. "They owe me $267,000. I have proof. They have no defense. And they're offering me table scraps." "Mrs. Gomez," Bradford began, "you need to be realistic." "Realistic?" I leaned forward. "Let me tell you what's realistic. You have no case. You have clients who are documented liars and financial abusers. And every day this drags on, more people come forward with stories about Stephanie isolating David from family and friends. So yes, let's be realistic. Your clients are going to lose, and they're going to lose badly." Stephanie's composure cracked. "You're doing this to destroy us." "I'm doing this to get back what you stole." "We didn't steal anything. You gave that money because you wanted to feel important. You wanted to buy your way into our lives." "Ms. Porter Gomez," Judge Hawkins said sharply, "I suggest you let your attorney speak." But Stephanie was beyond listening. Years of holding back, of playing the perfect daughter-in-law, exploded. You want to talk about manipulation? What about you? Showing up uninvited with your Nigerian food nobody asked for. Speaking Yoruba to David when I'm in the room. It's rude. Criticizing how we live. Calling constantly. You didn't give us that money out of love. You used it to buy control. To buy relevance. To keep us trapped in your immigrant guilt trip. The room went silent. Judge Hawkins removed her glasses, looked at David directly. Mr. Gomez, look at your mother. David didn't. I said look at her. David finally looked up. His eyes met mine across the table, and I saw the exact moment he realized something was wrong. The headscarf, the weight loss, the hollowness in my cheeks. Is your mother sick? Judge Hawkins asked. That's not relevant, I started. Mrs. Gomez, you're clearly undergoing treatment. Is it cancer? Long silence. My heart pounded. Yes, I whispered. What? David half stood. Mom, since November, I said, looking directly at him. The same month you told me I wasn't family. Why didn't you tell me? And here it was, the question I'd been waiting for. Because I needed to know, I said, my voice steady now. Would you give back the money because it's right, or because I'm dying? Would you do the right thing because of your conscience, or because of guilt? I paused, let it sink in. Now I know. You didn't even call to ask why I needed it. You didn't wonder where I was. You just forgot about me, until the lawyer's letter came. Stephanie whispered urgently, David, sit down, this is manipulation. Judge Hawkins's voice cracked like a whip. Mrs. Porter Gomez, that is enough. She looked at David, at Stephanie, at Bradford. Mediation is adjourned. This case is going to trial. And let me be very clear. If I were on that jury, you'd already lose. She stood, left the room. We all sat in shocked silence. Then David tried to approach me. Mom, please, I didn't know. I stood up, gathered my purse, my dignity. You didn't know because you didn't ask. You didn't care enough to ask. I walked past him. Sarah followed. Behind me, I heard Stephanie's hissed whisper, David's weak protest, Bradford's frustrated sigh. In the courthouse hallway, Sarah squeezed my shoulder. That was perfect. She just handed us everything we needed. It doesn't feel perfect, I said. My hands were shaking. That judge witnessed her true character. If this goes to trial, that outburst will follow her. And David's inability to defend you? That shows the power dynamic clearly. We walked to the parking lot. The January sun felt warm on my face. What happens now? I asked. Now we prepare for trial, and we make sure everyone knows exactly who they're dealing with. I thought about David's face when he realized I had cancer. The shock, the guilt, the horror. Part of me wanted to comfort him, to say it would be okay. But I was done comforting people who hurt me. Sarah, I said as I unlocked my car. When's the trial? March 4th, 2 months. Good. That gives me time to finish this round of chemo. I want to be strong when I face them in court. You're already strong, Lisa. I smiled. A real smile. The first in months. You're right. I am. February 2025. The next 2 months were a blur of preparation, chemotherapy, and waiting. Sarah worked tirelessly. We met every Wednesday at her office, going over evidence, preparing my testimony, strategizing. She explained what the trial would look like, what questions I'd face, how to stay calm under pressure. They're going to try to rattle you, she said during one session. Bradford will ask about your relationship with Stephanie, suggest you disapproved of the marriage, that you're racist against white people, that you used money to control David. You need to stay calm. Answer simply. Don't take the bait. I can do that, I said. I've handled worse than lawyers. Try telling a dying patient's family there's nothing more we can do. Try holding someone's hand while they take their last breath. I can handle James Bradford. Sarah smiled. You're going to do great. She lined up her witnesses. Dorothy Williams, to testify about my character, about witnessing my deterioration after years of giving David money, about the Sunday dinner incident. Dr. Emily Okonkwo, to testify about my cancer diagnosis, treatment costs, prognosis, and the financial strain. Tom Rodriguez from the support group, expert testimony about patterns of elder financial abuse, the isolation tactics, the guilt tripping. Patricia Johnson, character witness, someone who'd been through similar situation with her daughter. David and Stephanie had their own strategy. Through courthouse gossip and legal filings, we learned Bradford was planning to paint me as an overbearing immigrant mother who couldn't let go, use cultural differences as explanation for tension, Nigerian guilt trips versus American boundaries. Claim David genuinely believed the money was gifts because I never asked for repayment. Call Stephanie's parents as witnesses to testify about my intrusive behavior. Call David's boss to testify about his good character. It was going to be ugly. Then everything changed. February 20th, 2025, 3:47 p.m. Sarah called, her voice strange, excited but uncertain. Lisa, I just received a package. Anonymous, no return address, postmarked from Houston. What kind of package? Bank statements, credit card statements, receipts, all from Stephanie's personal accounts, not the joint accounts with David. My heart started pounding. What do they show? Sarah was quiet for a moment, like she was still processing. Lisa, Stephanie has a gambling problem. Online poker, sports betting, casino websites. She has $45,000 in gambling debts. She's been hiding it from David. I sat down hard. What? The money you gave them, at least a significant portion, didn't go to mortgages or student loans or renovations. It went to paying off her gambling debts. She's been lying to David about where the money was going. I felt like I'd been punched. David doesn't know? According to these statements, there's no way he could. She has separate accounts, separate credit cards, everything routed through her personal email. She's been running up debts, using your money to pay them down, then running them up again. It's a cycle. Who sent this? I don't know. Could be a friend of yours, someone who works at a bank, maybe even someone in Stephanie's family who's fed up. It doesn't matter. What matters is, this wins the case, definitively. It proves fraud, deception, systematic exploitation. We show this to the jury, and it's over. I stared out my apartment window. February afternoon sun casting long shadows. Sarah, if we use this, what happens? We win. Probably get a judgment for the full amount plus punitive damages. Maybe $350,000 to $400,000 total. No, I mean what happens to David. Silence. He finds out his wife has been lying to him for years, that she's a gambling addict, that she manipulated both of you to feed her addiction. His marriage will be over. He'll be devastated. He'll never forgive himself for not seeing it. I closed my eyes. Thought about David at 17, standing at his father's hospital bed. Thought about him at graduation, smile bright with hope. Thought about him on his wedding day, looking at Stephanie like she was his whole world. Thought about him standing in that doorway, unable to defend me. Don't use it, I said. Lisa, don't use it in trial. This would destroy him. Completely destroy him. I won't do that to my son. Even after everything he's done to you? He's still my child, Sarah. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I want justice. But I don't want vengeance. I don't want to be this person who ruins his life. What if we lose without it? Then we lose, but we won't need it. We have enough evidence. And if we do lose, at least I'll know I chose to be the bigger person. That I chose love over cruelty, even when he didn't. Sarah was quiet for a long time. You're a better person than me, Lisa. I'd use it in a heartbeat. Keep it as backup, I said. Lock it in your safe. If things go really wrong at trial, if they lie about something egregious, then we'll reconsider. But unless we absolutely need it, let it stay hidden. Okay, I'll keep it safe. But Lisa, you should know, this kind of evidence, it might come out anyway. If Stephanie's family knows, if creditors start calling, if her gambling spirals more, this secret won't keep forever. Then it won't be on my conscience when it comes out. It'll be on hers. The week before trial, I finished my last round of chemotherapy. February 28th, 2025. St. Mary's Hospital Oncology Center. Dr. Okonkwo removed my IV line for the final time. How do you feel? She asked. Tired. Nauseous, like I've been hit by a truck. I smiled weakly, but alive. Your scans look good, Lisa. The tumor's shrinking. If this continues, we might not even need radiation. You're responding beautifully to treatment. That's good. I need to be strong for the trial. Dr. Okonkwo sat down, looked at me seriously. Lisa, I'm testifying for you on Wednesday. I'm going to tell that jury exactly what cancer treatment costs, exactly what you're facing, exactly what you've had to sacrifice because you didn't have the money you needed. Is there anything you want me to emphasize? I thought about it. Tell them the truth. That delayed treatment could have killed me. That every dollar I gave David was a dollar I needed to save my own life. That's all. She squeezed my hand. You're going to win, and then you're going to live. I'll make sure of both. The courtroom was smaller than I expected from TV shows. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, uncomfortable benches. Judge Richard Martinez presiding. Hispanic man, late 50s, stern face, reputation for no-nonsense trials. The jury, 12 people, mix of ages, races, backgrounds. 7 women, 5 men. 3 black jurors, 2 Hispanic, 1 Asian, 6 white. I studied their faces, tried to read sympathy or skepticism, found both. David and Stephanie sat at the defense table. David wore a navy suit, looking nervous. Stephanie wore a cream pantsuit, hair perfect, face carefully neutral. She looked like a lawyer herself, competent, professional, trustworthy. I sat at the plaintiff's table wearing my best church dress, royal blue with gold trim, and a matching headscarf, my armor. Judge Martinez banged his gavel. Court is in session. Case number 2025-12847, Gomez versus Gomez. Opening statements. Ms. Mitchell, you may proceed. Sarah stood, walked to the jury box, spoke clearly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a simple case. A mother, a widow, an immigrant, a retired nurse, spent 38 years saving money for her retirement, for emergencies, for her future. Then her son got married. And over 5 years, she gave him $267,000. Every time he promised to pay it back. Every time he called it a loan. And not once did he repay a single dollar. Then, when that mother needed the money, when she was diagnosed with cancer and faced $85,000 in medical bills, her son told her she wasn't family, turned her away from his home, and refused to return a penny. This isn't about family dynamics or cultural differences. This is about theft, plain and simple, and we're going to prove it. Bradford's opening was predictable. This is about a bitter mother who can't accept her son's independence, his marriage to a woman she disapproves of, his American life. She gave money freely, as parents do. Now she's weaponizing that generosity to punish him for setting boundaries. The defense will show that these were gifts, given with love, with no expectation of repayment. Then Sarah called me to the stand. For 90 minutes I told my story, the immigration, raising David alone, James's death, every sacrifice, the money given, the promises broken, the Sunday dinner rejection. Sarah asked, Mrs. Gomez, did you give this money as gifts with no expectation of repayment? No. Every time David asked, he said it was temporary, a loan. He'd pay it back. He promised. Did he ever pay back any of it? Not $1. When did you find out you had cancer? November 11th, 2024, the day after they told me I wasn't family. How much does your treatment cost? $85,000 to $120,000. How much money did you have left after giving David $267,000? $153,000, which means after treatment and legal fees, I'll have almost nothing left for my retirement. The jury was watching me closely. One woman in the front row, black, maybe 60, had tears in her eyes. Bradford's cross-examination tried to shake me. Mrs. Gomez, you immigrated from Nigeria in 1985, correct? Yes. And in Nigerian culture, parents support their children extensively, yes? Multi-generational households, parents providing for adult children? We support. We don't get robbed. Several jurors smiled. Bradford frowned. You disapproved of your son's marriage to Stephanie, didn't you? I wanted my son to be happy. That's not what I asked. Did you approve? I had concerns, but I gave them $15,000 for their wedding. That's not disapproval. That's love. You've characterized yourself as a devoted mother, but weren't you also controlling? Using money to maintain influence over David's life? I gave money when asked. I never demanded anything in return except honesty and respect. I didn't get either. Did you ever ask for the money back before hiring a lawyer? I shouldn't have had to ask. He promised to repay it. A promise is a promise. Bradford tried for an hour to crack me. I didn't crack. Dorothy testified next. Strong, clear, protective. I watched Lisa give and give to that boy. Watched her bank account drain. Watched her get thinner, sadder, quieter. When she told me about that Sunday dinner, being turned away from her own son's house, I've never seen her so broken. And then the cancer diagnosis? That's when I knew. That money wasn't generosity. It was survival, and they took it. Dr. Okonkwo testified about medical facts. Stage 2, a breast cancer. Excellent prognosis with immediate treatment. 92% 5-year survival rate. But delayed treatment due to financial constraints? That drops to 70% or lower. The Mrs. Gomez's cancer treatment, after insurance, costs $93,400. She's already paid $18,000. She needs the money back to complete treatment and survive. Tom Rodriguez testified about elder abuse patterns, the isolation, the guilt tripping. Don't you want grandchildren? This is for our future. The promises of repayment never kept. The sudden withdrawal of affection. These are textbook financial exploitation tactics. The victim gives out of love. The abuser takes out of greed. By the end of day 1, the jury looked sympathetic. Stephanie took the stand wearing pearls and a soft smile. She looked innocent, kind, trustworthy. Bradford led her through testimony. We never asked for the money. Lisa offered. She wanted to be involved in our lives. We thought she was happy to help. We're building a family, and she wanted to be part of that. Did you or David ever promise to repay the money? David might have said things like, I'll get it back to you, casually, the way you'd say to a friend who buys you coffee. But it wasn't a legal promise. It was family. How did you feel about Lisa's involvement in your life? Grateful, but also overwhelmed. She'd show up unannounced, bring food we didn't ask for, call constantly, speak Yoruba to David when I was in the room, which felt exclusionary. We needed boundaries. And the Sunday dinner incident? We were having an intimate dinner with my parents. We told David to let Lisa know it was just us. There must have been a miscommunication. Sarah's cross-examination was surgical. Ms. Porter Gomez, you have an MBA from Rice University, correct? Yes. So you understand contracts, legal obligations, documentation? Of course. Then why didn't you document these alleged gifts in writing? Get a signed statement from Mrs. Thel Gomez that the funds were gifts with no expectation of repayment? Stephanie hesitated. It was family. We trusted each other. Did you? Because in mediation you called Mrs. Gomez manipulative and controlling. That doesn't sound like trust. I was upset. Let's talk about finances. You and David have a combined income of $127,000 a year now, correct? Yes. Your mortgage is $2,200 a month. Car payments total $800. Student loans $500. That's $3,500 in major fixed costs. On $10,500 a month income, that leaves $7,000 for everything else. Why did you need Lisa's money? We had other expenses. A $4,800 vacation to Turks and Caicos in 2023. A $12,000 hot tub installation. $8,000 in designer furniture. Were these necessities? Stephanie's face flushed. We deserve to enjoy our lives. On someone else's retirement savings? She gave it willingly. Sarah pulled out a document. This is a voicemail from your husband dated December 20th, 2022. Let's play it for the jury. David's voice filled the courtroom. Thanks for the loan, Mom. I'll get it back to you next month. I promise. The room was silent. That's your husband explicitly calling it a loan, Sarah said. Were you present when he made this promise? I don't remember. You don't remember your husband borrowing $10,000? Bradford objected. Sustained. But the damage was done. Sarah leaned in. Ms. Porter Gomez, in mediation you said, and I quote, "You didn't give that money out of love. You used it to buy control." Do you still believe that? Stephanie looked at Bradford, at David, back at Sarah. Yes. So in your view, a mother helping her son is manipulation? When it comes with strings, what strings? What did she ask for in return? Involvement, constant contact, inserting herself into our lives. Weekly dinners, phone calls, wanting to be part of her only son's life? Sarah's voice was ice. Is that manipulation, or is that called being a family? Stephanie had no answer. David testified last. He looked miserable, caught between his mother and his wife, between truth and loyalty. Mr. Gomez, Bradford asked gently, did you promise to repay your mother? Sometimes I said things like that, but I didn't mean it legally. I meant, family helps each other. I'd help her someday too. Did you love your mother? Of course, I still do. Then why did this happen? David looked at me for the first time. His eyes were wet. I don't know. Things got complicated. Stephanie and Mom didn't get along. I felt caught in the middle. I made mistakes. I should have been better. Sarah's cross-examination was devastating. Mr. Gomez, when did you last ask your mother how she was doing? Not asking for money, just asking about her? David was silent. The Sunday dinner when you turned her away, did you know she'd spent 5 hours cooking for you? No. Did you know she'd driven 43 minutes to get there? Yes. Did you know she had cancer? Not then. When did you find out? At the mediation, in January. 4 months after her diagnosis. Your mother had cancer for 4 months and you didn't know because you didn't ask. You didn't visit. You didn't call. Is that correct? Yes, David whispered. But you did call when you needed money, didn't you? Yes. How many times did you ask your mother for money in the past 5 years? I don't know exactly. 23 times. I counted. 23 times you called to ask for money. How many times did you call just to see how she was? Silence. Mr. Gomez, answer the question. I don't remember, David said, tears streaming down his face. That's because you didn't. You called when you needed something. Never when she did. Bradford stood before the jury. This is about family. Families are complicated. They help each other in imperfect ways. Lisa Gomez is hurt, and I understand that. But hurt feelings don't create debt. She gave this money freely, without written agreements, without terms. Now she wants it back because she's angry about a family disagreement. That's not how the law works. Sarah stood, spoke with quiet power. This is about justice. Lisa Gomez gave her life savings to her son. He took it knowing she might need it someday. He promised, on voicemail, in texts, in emails, to pay it back. He never did. Then, when she developed cancer and actually needed that money to survive, he told her she wasn't family. The law is clear. Loans must be repaid. Promises must be kept. The question before you is simple. Do we let children steal from dying parents, or do we hold them accountable? The jury deliberated for 4 hours and 17 minutes. When they returned, the foreman, a black woman in her 60s, read the verdict. In the matter of Gomez versus Gomez and Porter Gomez, we find in favor of the plaintiff, Lisa Comfort Gomez. My heart stopped. The defendants are ordered to repay $267,000 in principal, $28,000 in interest, $15,000 in emotional distress damages, $35,000 in legal fees. Total judgment, $345,000. I heard Sarah exhale beside me, heard David make a choked sound, but the foreman wasn't finished. However, given the defendant's financial situation and the family nature of this dispute, we recommend a payment plan of $3,000 per month until the debt is satisfied. We do not recommend wage garnishment or property liens at this time. It would take them 9.5 years to pay it all back. I'd be 77 years old. But I'd won. Outside the courthouse, March wind whipping around us, David approached. Stephanie stood apart, stone-faced, furious. "Mom," David said, voice breaking. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know about the cancer. I didn't know you needed the money. I should have asked. I should have seen you." I looked at my son, really looked at him. He'd lost weight, had circles under his eyes, looked older than 34. "You saw what you wanted to see," I said quietly. Can I help with treatment? Can we start over?" I wanted to say yes, wanted to hug him, forgive him, tell him it would all be okay. But I'd learned something in this fight. Love without respect is worthless. Forgiveness without accountability is enabling. You'll pay what the court ordered, I says, he said. $3,000 a month. Nothing more, nothing less. But I'm your son, yes, and I'm still your mother. But I'm also a woman who deserves respect. When you understand that, really understand it, call me. We can talk then. I walked to Dorothy's car. She was waiting to drive me home. David stood there in the parking lot, alone. Stephanie had already left. 3 months later, I finished my last cancer checkup. Dr. Okonkwo smiled as she showed me the scans. Full remission, Lisa. The cancer's gone. You did it. I cried. Actual tears of joy. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Gomez, this is Diane Porter, Stephanie's mother. I thought you should know. David and Stephanie are divorcing. We discovered Stephanie has a serious gambling problem. $45,000 in debt she'd been hiding. Some of your money was used to pay those debts. I'm ashamed we didn't see it sooner. I'm sorry for how my daughter treated you. You deserved better. Diane. So the secret had come out anyway. Not from me. From Stephanie's own family. I felt sad for David, but I also felt vindicated. I'd made the right choice, not using that evidence. The truth revealed itself without me having to weaponize it. 2 weeks later, the first payment arrived. $3,000, direct deposit into my account. The next day, a text from David's number. Mom, I'm in therapy, learning about enmeshment, guilt, boundaries, manipulation. Also learning I was an asshole. I blamed you for my own shame about where I came from. I let Stephanie manipulate both of us. I'm working on it. I found out about her gambling. You knew, didn't you? Sarah told me you had evidence and chose not to use it. You protected me even when I didn't deserve it. I'm paying back every penny. Not because the court said so, because it's right. Can we have coffee? No expectations, just coffee? I want to show you pictures of me as a baby. Remember who I was before I forgot who you were. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry I forgot how to show it. David. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I wrote back. Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pete's Diner on Main Street. Bring those pictures. And David? Bring yourself. The real you. Not who you think I want you to be. Not who Stephanie wanted you to be. Just you. We'll start there. Love you always, Mama. Tuesday afternoon. I sat in a booth wearing a new headscarf, bright yellow with orange flowers. My hair was growing back, soft and silver. I kind of liked it. Dorothy sat across from me, drinking coffee. You sure you're ready for this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. At 2:03, David walked in. He'd lost more weight, wore jeans and a simple shirt, carried an old photo album. He slid into the booth, looked at me, really looked. Your hair's growing back, he said softly. Chemo's over. Cancer's gone. I'm going to live. I'm glad. So glad, Mom. We ordered coffee. Sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then David opened the photo album. This was me at 6 months, he said, pointing to a picture. Lagos, before we came to America. Look at those fat cheeks. I laughed. You were the chubbiest baby. Everyone wanted to pinch you. This one's my first day of kindergarten. You made me that shirt. I stayed up all night sewing it. You wanted Batman, but I could only afford fabric scraps. I loved that shirt. Wore it until it fell apart. We went through the album, page by page, memory by memory. Slowly, carefully, we started remembering who we used to be. Mom, David said after a while, I read my old journals from high school. I felt so much pressure, like I could never be enough to repay everything you sacrificed. I resented it sometimes. That's not your fault, but it's also part of why I let Stephanie create distance. She made me feel like I could just be myself. No expectations, no debt. I never wanted you to feel indebted, baby. I know, but I did. And instead of talking to you about it, I ran away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, too, for not seeing how heavy it all felt to you, for not asking what you needed instead of just giving. We talked for 2 hours. Honest, painful, real. At the end, David asked, Can we do this again? Once a week? Just coffee and talking? I'd like that. And Mom, when the debt is paid off, in 9 years or whenever, I want to keep paying. Not because I owe you, Because I want to make sure you're taken care of. The way you took care of me. One step at a time, David. Let's just work on being honest with each other first. He nodded, smiled. The first real smile I'd seen from him in years. 1 month later, I sat in my watercolor class at the Houston Community Center. Tuesday morning, 10 other women over 60, all of us painting our memories. I was painting a sunrise over Lagos, gold and orange bleeding into purple sky. The city where I was born, the home I left to give David a better life. Dorothy sat next to me, painting her garden in Jamaica. You really forgave him? She asked, not looking up from her canvas. I'm trying. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a choice you make every day. And if he disappoints you again? I added gold to the sunrise, bright, burning gold. Then I'll survive. I always do. But Dorothy, I don't think he will. I think he's finally growing up, finally becoming the man his father would be proud of. And the man you raised him to be? Maybe. We'll see. I painted in silence for a while, then added something new to the canvas, a small figure in the foreground. A woman with a headscarf, looking at the sunrise. That you? Dorothy asked. That's me, looking forward, not backward. The past is painted. This is what comes next. September 2025. I sat on my apartment balcony, watching Houston sunset. My hair was fully grown back now, silver and soft. I kept it natural. I kind of loved it. My phone buzzed. David with a picture. Him at a park with a book, sitting under a tree. Tuesday therapy homework. Find a peaceful place. Think about who I want to be. This is mine. What's yours? I smiled. Took a picture of my view, the sunset, my coffee, my peace. This, right here, this is mine. Love it, Mom. See you next Tuesday? Wouldn't miss it. I set my phone down, picked up my journal, a new one Dorothy had given me. On the first page I wrote, I am Lisa Comfort Gomez. I am 68 years old. I am a cancer survivor. I am a mother. I am an immigrant. I am a fighter. I am enough. I learned that at my age you don't have time for people who don't value you. That family is defined by behavior, not blood. That choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. The greatest victory wasn't the money. It was learning that I deserved better. And finally believing it. The rest is just living. I closed the journal. Watched the sunset gold and brilliant over Houston, the city that had been my home for 40 years. Tomorrow, I'd volunteer at the food bank. Thursday, watercolor class. Friday, coffee with Dorothy. Next Tuesday, lunch with David. My calendar was full. My heart was healing. My life was mine. And that was enough.